Hey everybody, welcome to a new podcast that we are doing. My name is Jonathan,
And I'm Austin.
and the name of this podcast is going to be Two Dudes and One Mic. So, to start things off on our very first episode, Austin and I are going to be talking about just a certain topic that is near and dear to us. It's honestly, it's one of our favorite things to talk about all the time. And we're going to be talking about music.
If it wasn't for music, you might as well dig me a grave because I live and breathe music. It's what I thrive on, it's how I flourish, it's my love language. So if you want to know the way to my heart, hit me with some preferably hard rock music.
Shoot, I mean, you're a songwriter and a musician, so it makes sense to me. You're one of the best guitarists I know. So
Well, it took a lot of hard work to get there. I took guitar lessons from an amazing instructor named Chip Brown. I took lessons from him for 3 solid years, and I'd have to go back and relearn it, but at one time I was able to play the guitar solo for the song One by Metallica note for note, and I had to take several lessons just to learn that solo, but
yeah,
it used to be really fun getting people to ask me to play that. And
yeah, I know. Kirk Hammett solos, not an easy thing to do.
yeah, he's undoubtedly one of the best guitarists.
I'm sure your fingers want to jump off your hand and say, "I quit."
More like the edge of my pick for all that tapping.
But anyway, to start things off, I have a wheel spinner set up here on my phone. And basically, what we're going to do is we're going to spin this wheel, and whatever music genre it lands on, we're going to discuss that genre. If we like it, what we like about it, any artists that we may like and songs in the genre. And if we don't like it, give a defense why. You ready to get started?
Ready as I'll ever be.
All right, spinning the wheel now. Where it stops, I think I know. Instrumental.
Well, that really narrows it down.
I know, right? I think it means just like any kind of music that doesn't have words.
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is video game soundtracks. So, do you have a favorite video game soundtrack?
Probably, honestly, probably Sonic Adventure. Because Sonic Adventure, I will say this, Sega, and don't get me wrong, I love Sega. I've played their games since I was a kid. Sonic the Hedgehog was one of the first games I played as a child. And at first, through the decades of, video games exist in their existence, a lot of game companies just did the music themselves. I think Sega was one of the first video game development studios that just hired another band to write and do the music for them, and it started this whole different thing. And every time they do that, it sounds so much better than when the game just did the soundtrack themselves. Because there's like songs that I listen to a couple times a week at least, every now and then, and I'll listen to it on the truck, in the truck on the way to work, and again maybe on my way home and stuff. One of my personal favorites by Crush, and the band is called Crush 40. And one of the songs they did was Never Turn Back.
Oh, yeah.
I love that song. It's a great song.
Good old Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah. And then I guess my favorite track from Sonic Adventure would be probably "Open My Heart."
Yeah. Um, Speaking of Never Turn Back, you remember that time we were taking a trip somewhere to the big city and um, we were following a GPS and trying to figure out the best route, and the line in that song came on that said, head straight, head straight, and you're like, hey, there's Crush 40 to give us the directions.
Yeah. But 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 yeah, I remember that. You want to move on to another topic?
Well, before we do, I was gonna say you said your favorite game soundtrack was Sonic Adventure.
Yeah.
Excellent soundtrack, killer soundtrack. Now, you ready to hear what mine is?
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Sonic Adventure 2.
Battle.
Yeah. But, I mean, the way you are with Sonic Adventure is the way I am with Sonic Adventure 2. I have so much dadgum nostalgia with that game. I mean, if I saw a flashback of my life, about 75% of the flashback would involve that game somehow. But the music is really that iconic. And
Oh yeah.
a lot of people hate on Sonic games a lot. Sonic gets a lot of hate. And some of it, yes, it deserves. But the reason parts of it are so broken is because they literally use so much of their budget on the soundtrack, and I think that makes up for a lot of the other flaws, because I don't know many other games that put that much into a soundtrack.
Yeah.
But
And I will say Sonic Adventure is my favorite soundtrack, but Sonic Adventure 2, it really feels like they stepped it up a couple notches, especially in the soundtrack, because everything just sounds like they gave it like 110% with each song, and just thinking about that just wears me out.
yeah, and it's hard rock mixed with digital sound effects. It was kind of, well, I wouldn't say ahead of its time, but it really kind of cemented a new era there, kind of, because there wasn't much music around like that, with the exception of maybe a little bit of Linkin Park and Ultra Spank. But yeah, let's spin the wheel.
All right, spinning the wheel.
Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, I was gonna say music.
Yeah, that's better.
It landed on Korean, so I assume it means K-pop, which is, oh man, like K-pop took the world by storm years ago, and not a lot of, I don't have a favorite band or song in K-pop. It's all just a little weird for me. But you know, I do think one of like the biggest flaws in that industry is it's very industrialized. There's not a lot of room for, and I use this term lightly, creative freedoms with the band itself. Because like I think that's why you have such huge like iconic legends from America, is because, and why the American music industry is so much bigger than everybody else, is because they allow their artists to have certain like a certain amount of creative freedom with their songwriting.
Yeah.
So in K-pop, it's very industrialized. You know, they throw them into a room, they throw clothes on them, said, "Okay, do your thing," and that's it.
And speaking of K-pop. The only person I've ever met that is like really into that was just as bad as a Justin Bieber fangirl about it. So, needless to say, K-pop kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, and I've never really wanted anything to do with it. Now, I'm not saying it's all trash. I'm just saying I really don't want to go there.
A bad fan and kind of ruined it for you.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it was for me, because the reason I can't really get into it is because like the artists just they look a little weird, like they dress weird, like and then it just seems bizarre to me. So, and nothing against them and the people who enjoy that kind of music. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just for me personally, like they dress up a little too weird for me. Of course, I'm just like shirt and jeans is all you really need, in my opinion. But that's just me.
And by shirt and jeans, we don't mean glitter jeans, Luke Bryan.
Oh, well, you ready to spin the wheel again?
Yes.
All right, on to the next one. What will you land on now? Folk music. I don't have a lot to say about folk music. I know it exists, but I've never actually listened to folk music.
Same here. You gonna respin?
Sure. Ooh, pop. There we go. Get ready, folks. It's about to get spicy. I listen to pop every now and then. But I will say this, I have to be in the mood for it. And it's a select few artists I'll listen to, and it's always by myself. And no one's around to hear me listen to them. It's usually on my truck. And when I listen to them, I don't support their lifestyle or anything. I just like their sound every now and then, like Chris Rock. My mind just went blank. Mr. Worldwide. What's it? Pitbull.
Oh.
And Pitbull. I do like him a little bit just because of how honorable he is with this stuff.
I don't play football, but I touchdown everywhere. Everywhere. I don't play baseball, but I hit a home run everywhere.
And just guys like him. I do listen to Michael Jackson every now and then. I know there's a lot of conspiracy around a few things that happened years ago, and I'll say this, and this is all I'm going to say, nobody can prove anything. If it turns out to be true, okay, I'll accept that. If it's not true, I'll accept that too. But, again, no one had any solid evidence about it years ago. So, that's all I'm saying. I believe whatever, And again, I said this the first time. I don't exactly agree with their lifestyle, but I do like their sound.
Yeah.
That they make.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, as far as pop goes, I don't guess I really know what people consider pop nowadays because a lot of people listen to hip hop and some of that's kind of mixed in with pop. I don't really know, but
the lines do blur a lot.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to say what you're saying about if I had to pick a pop artist, be Pitbull. So
he does have some really good songs. They're catchy. That's what my wife calls songs like that earworms. Like they get in your head and they're there all day.
Earworms, I like. Well, hey, I bet Pitbull was Bill's favorite artist.
All right, time to give this wheel another spin. Let's see what we land on now. interesting one. Again, rap is something, nothing against rappers, but it is something I have to be in the mood for. And I only listen to like one or two artists, if even that much. And it's usually for like 10 minutes. It's not an all day thing. Like every now and then I'll listen to like Eminem or one album by Kanye West, which is the Jesus is King
Yeah.
album. I love that album. It's a good album.
Yeah, it really was.
You know, he started a trend when he did that. There were several other rappers that released a gospel album. Snoop Dogg was one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, there's a lot of question about Kanye West and whether he was sincere in what he did. Now, at this current time, considering his performance at Soldier Field and how there was some demonic activity going on at that show, I really don't know what to believe about Kanye anymore. I'm in disbelief, but I do believe when the Jesus is King album first came out, I do believe he was sincere, and I felt, you know, his heart and soul in that, and I think the Lord has used that to touch some people.
Yeah. But that's about it on rap for me. Like,
and when it comes to rap, I'll say this. I can hardly listen to any secular rap, or at least modern day secular rap, because of how explicit it is. With rap, you've either got one extreme or the other. If it's secular rap, 9 times out of 10, it's just pure vulgar from start to finish. But if it's Christian rap, it's pure passionate and fiery, straight to the point, to the words. So, you know, there are a few Christian rappers I like. You know, KJ52 being probably my favorite rap artist. And that's your Christian version of Eminem, in case you're looking.
yeah.
Lecrae's good too.
Yeah, and for me, there's another artist. His name is Andy Mineo.
Oh, yeah.
I like him too.
I like his song, You Can't Stop Me.
Yes, I actually listened to that the other day.
What you think about that, Andy?
Yeah.
All right, you ready to spin her again?
Yeah, let's give it another spin. See what we land on. Oh no. It's your favorite subject. It's your favorite genre. Country.
He's kidding. Do not mistake the sound of my voice for my genre, because that is not the case.
I will say this. Country is very deep rooted, and it's been around for a very long time. Me personally, I can never get into it really, like, which is ironic because my wife loves country. It's literally, besides Disney music, it's literally the only thing she listens to. Now, she's not a fan of the new country artists. She's more of a fan of the old ones, of the older artists like Trace Adkins and guys like him that have been around for a minute.
But when it comes to country, I'm with Jonathan. I've never been able to get into it, but if I had to listen to it, I would choose the older stuff any day, because the newer stuff that's labeled country, that's a gimmick. It's a false advertisement, because it's not country. All it is Southern boys singing pop. And
looking at you, Luke Bryan.
Exactly. Yeah, him and okay, story time. You remember Chip Bricker's story about
how he met Luke Bryan?
Yeah, I hate it for him, but anyways, he was at the Grand Opry because Chip Bricker, he traveled a lot doing performances on the road. That's how he made his money.
Oh, Chip Pricker is a music producer, by the way.
Yeah, he's the music minister at Wake Village First Baptist. Awesome musician.
Oh yeah.
But he did a show at the Grand Opry. He said Brad Paisley was there and Jason Aldean and Luke Bryan. He said Brad Paisley was cool, just like, me and you are right now. You could talk to him and, just chill. But he said Jason Aldean and Luke Bryan weren't conceited. They were convinced. And he said Luke Bryan was kicked up in the corner somewhere with a pair of shades on. And they spoke to him. He said, "Yo, what's up, man?" It's like, "You wanna go get some barbecue with us?" "I don't know. I got a reception to go to later." But
And it was free barbecue too.
exactly. Yeah, he could use that with all those high dollar blue jeans he's about to have to buy.
Right.
But yeah, I will say this. One country artist from the 2000s era that I like is Josh Turner.
Yeah.
He is the only country artist of today's time I can think of that doesn't mention drinking or that kind of lifestyle in his music, which really says a lot. And I mean, he just makes flat out good music. And I've seen him live too, and you have.
Yeah.
He can put on a show.
Yeah, he really can. He knows what he's talking. He knows what he's doing.
And he knows who his credit belongs to. But, alright, next.
Spinning the wheel. He landed on Korean again, but I'll just pick one that's right next to it. Or I can just spin it again. Want me to spin it again?
Yeah, it's fine.
Alright, spinning again. Spanish. I will say, I have one thing to say about Spanish music, and that is there is a style of guitar playing and guitar picking that Spanish music is world renowned for that I love to hear, and that's Latin style guitar.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds incredible, and just the amount of skill it takes to just do that kind of flow and smooth transitioning that they do is incredible. I've always loved that sound. I've always loved that overall has always been extremely impressive to me. And just the amount of skill and dedication it takes to get there.
Well, there's actually a few rock artists I listen to that has a tad bit of that influence in their stuff, like the legendary Van Halen. Their song Spanish Fly, it's got that acoustic guitar with that kind of feel to it. Oh, it's on fire, no pun intended, because they have a song called that. But anyways, Megadeth has the song called Trust, and on the part where it breaks and goes to the soft, mellow part of the song, he does a Spanish style guitar in that short bridge right there, and it really is soothing and sensational. So yeah, I'm with you on this.
Yeah. That's really all I have to say on it, though. I don't know much else. I don't really listen to it.
Oh, story time again.
Oh boy.
We was at a Mexican restaurant, me and my folks were one time, and they were playing music that all the lyrics were in Spanish, or supposedly most of them, and it's not really what I grew up with, so it's not my genre, but some people like it, and I'm like, hey, go for it. So there was this one song that come on. I really don't know what the guy was saying, But this is what me and my dad both got out of it. It sounded like he was saying, "Someone told my mom I was loco."
I mean, are you?
Well, the world may never know.
All right, for me to spin the wheel again.
Next.
All right. Here we go. Gotta spin it again. We've already talked about that. Okay, this is an interesting one. It's called EDM. Do you know what EDM is?
Oh yeah, that's electronic dance music.
Uh-huh.
A lot of video game influence in that.
Oh, definitely. And I will say EDM is the first kind of music where I can feel safe listening to it because there's no lyrics behind it at all. It's literally just sound.
I've actually recorded a little bit of that myself, here at the house. It's not my primary genre, but sometimes I get in a video game mood and start recording it, and it's fun to play around with, and there's a lot of limitless possibilities you can reach for.
And it is impressive because with EDM, you really, you have like your job is to string everything together, but it is nice to make a good song where the computer did a lot of the work.
Yeah.
That is nice. And that
it takes some of the stress off.
It really does. Oh my word, it really does. And another version of EDM that I've started getting into is called funk. PHONK. And it's like EDM, only it has heavier bass and sometimes like slower beats. So it's all heavier, and I like that. But yeah, like there's really not much to say about it because it's still a relatively new genre. And I think my honest opinion is EDM is probably just a step up or like a branch off, I guess I will say, of dubstep, which is what I listened to in high school, and dubstep was just a branch off from electronic from back in the 90s.
Yeah. When I think of EDM, I know this probably isn't where most people's minds go, but when I hear EDM, I immediately think about the Japanese soundtrack from Sonic CD.
Yeah, that's probably electronic. That's probably what that is. It sounds pretty close. But that's all I really have to say on EDM. There's not much for me to say because it's still relatively new.
Yeah.
And then there's not a lot of famous artists because of EDM.
I don't know any really.
Yeah.
Except there is a Christian artist I know in that industry. His name is DJ Flubble. So, yeah, check him out on YouTube sometime. He's got some cool stuff.
But yeah, let me spin the wheel again, see what we land on. Lo-fi. Do you know what that is?
I can't say I do.
Lo-fi is like, take like an electronic smooth, like a slow electronic beat, and then put some like smooth jazz over it. And that's really what lo-fi is. There's no lyrics to it. A lot of people listen to lo-fi when they're trying to relax.
Yeah.
Like they're like trying to relax, or they're trying to just study or focus on something. It's great for that kind of stuff. I do that. I do that sometimes. Like if I'm trying to concentrate on something, I'll just turn on some lo-fi and just listen to that while I'm trying to work or do something like that. And lo-fi, like EDM, there's really not much to talk about there because there's not a lot of famous artists out there that I know of. So, but yeah, that's really it is an interesting genre. I don't listen to it all the time, but every once in a blue moon, I'll turn on some lo-fi.
Yeah.
Next subject. Spin the wheel. I already talked about that one. Let's see.
When is it gonna land on my favorite?
Well, you probably will have a few things to say about this one. Anime, which I think is like anime style music or music that comes from anime.
Well, as far as hardcore anime, like the really graphic stuff, I'm not into, but like just the surface. And when I say that, I mean the English dub, so I guess you couldn't really call me an anime person, but
You do like Yu-Gi-Oh though.
yeah, I was about to say Yu-Gi-Oh is the closest to anime I get, and
Which that is considered anime, so
yeah,
it's like the old '90s anime style.
and I like Kappa Mikey, which was the only anime made in America.
Yeah,
So, but there are two songs I really liked from Yu-Gi-Oh. No, take that back. There were three. I like Seto Kaiba's theme from the original Duelist Kingdom series, I'm Back. That was an awesome song. And then the song No Matter What, that was themed after Yugi and Joey having to duel against each other. That was an awesome song as well. And then Seto Kaiba's theme in the movie called You're Not Me, another great piece of art. So
we'll go ahead and move on from that. Just I will. Well, I'll say this before. I think the soundtrack from the original Naruto anime was really good.
yeah,
Shippuden was okay. They went into using more classical instruments, which kind of got on my nerves a little bit. But near the end of it, they went back in that direction of using more electric guitar and rock sounds. So, but that's all I really have to say. Spinning the wheel. Let's see. Spinning the wheel. Okay, well, we got two more subjects on here that we haven't talked about. It keeps landing on the other ones. We've got metal and Disney.
wow.
So,
I'm trying to process that metal and Disney. If you combine that, it's like Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse. Ah!
sure.
No.
I guess we'll save the best for last and go with Disney first. Disney, I don't listen to Disney music. I watch their movies sometimes, and by watch their movies, I mean like the older stuff, like
Yeah,
Tarzan and Hercules and
Mickey Mouse.
yeah, and Mickey Mouse. Tarzan does have my favorite music genre or album, which is when they started bringing in professional musicians to do their music. They hired Phil Collins to do the soundtrack and the music for that movie, and it was phenomenal. I actually listen to his soundtrack from that movie every now and then. Like the song Son of Man. I love that song.
I didn't realize he was involved with that.
Mm-hmm.
Huh, that's neat.
Yeah, he did the soundtrack to Tarzan, and then he did the soundtrack to Brother Bear.
Hmm.
Yeah, 2 movies he did for him. And the soundtracks sound really, really good because they stayed out of his way and said, do your thing, here's your budget.
Fun fact for you about Phil Collins: he's obsessed with the Alamo.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
he really loves Texas history. So
It's interesting. I don't even know where he's from, if I'm being honest. I don't think he's from America.
yeah, I'm not sure either. I never was a huge Phil Collins fan, but I do respect him.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He really is. You know how we got started, right?
How's that?
He started as a drummer for a different band,
Yeah,
and right as they were getting their start, or I'm sorry, their lead singer quit on him, and he's like, "Hey, I can sing." They're like, "Yeah, right." They're like, "No, really, I can sing." And he started doing the vocals and being the lead singer for him, and then right as their career started to launch, he went solo and went even further.
yeah.
So, but that's all I can really say Disney wise. I haven't really kept up with all the Disney movies unless it was Hercules, Tarzan, or no, that's about it. Unless it's Hercules or Tarzan, I didn't really watch it.
Yeah. Alright, well, I guess that leaves one more. And I guess the reason it waited till last for this is it's saving the best for last.
And it is our favorite music topic. This is going to be a long one, so get comfy. Metal.
Yeah.
You and I both love metal, and I think your thing has always been with metal. Is you've always obsessed over the lyrics of songs.
Well, that's part of it. And when I'm talking metal, I mean rock too, because we really haven't
Right.
talked about rock either.
Right.
But I consider them part of the same family. And by metal, I don't mean that death metal either. I hate that stuff.
Nah, I hate it too.
But like first degree service metal and rock, the lyrics, like you just said, they're really deep, and usually there's a lot of emotion attached to them. You can tell it came from the heart. Even if I disagree with what they're saying, you can still tell it's sincere, and it's not hollow, I guess you could say. And
Yeah.
also, it takes a mad kind of skill to perform that kind of music and to maintain it.
I was about to say, and to perform it for as long as they do. Some of those guys, they do that for like 5 hours.
Exactly. And that's why I'm not into rap, or at least modern day rap much, because it takes no talent or skill whatsoever to drop the F-bomb every other word,
Yeah.
sentence. And that's why I don't like modern country, because it takes no talent to sing about the same 3 topics in every song: dirt roads, jacked up trucks, beer. You get the picture.
Yeah.
I like deep stuff with a purpose and stuff that actually takes hard work to create.
Plus, most rock, hard rock, and metal artists, they're really pretty much the only genre that tries to reach their fans on a personal level.
Yeah,
Like Linkin Park,
yeah.
Chester
Bennington.
Bennington. Thank you. I don't know why my brain was like stuttering, like like Chester Bennington. I had a close friend who was practically obsessed with Chester because he was going through a really rough time in his life, dealing with the death of his mother, and his dad married a couple years after, like pretty quickly, and his stepmother wasn't the best. He was still mourning the loss of his mother, and his two stepsisters. And so and he loved Linkin Park's music, and I love Linkin Park too. They make really great music. Castle of Glass and Burn It Down are two of my all-time favorite songs, and of course there's Numb. But and I gotta say, if I will say this: almost every Linkin Park fan alive and around loves Numb. That's like one of their biggest hits ever.
And I'm a big Linkin Park fan too. I love them. But Numb I've never liked it as much as I like a lot of their other songs for some reason.
Probably because it's the one that's blasted the most.
Now, I do like What I've Done as much as most people do or more.
Yeah. Which that one was in the first Transformers movie in the end. They played it at the credits.
Yeah, they sure did. And I would have to say my favorites by them are, I really like Paper Cut, and I like, let's see, Wretches and Kings.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Faint, that's another one.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Oh, that one gets me so pumped. But, yeah.
And then, going back a little further, you have bands that have been around for, good lord, at least 2 generations now. Like Metallica, Megadeth.
Now you're really talking my language.
Do you think their songwriters Google their own lyrics because they've been around so long they have to make sure they don't write the same song twice?
Oh, I'm certain. But
that's something I didn't think about until recently. And it was on I don't like either one of these two, but I was curious to hear about this certain topic in particular. It was, I guess like a podcast thing Lil Wayne was doing. And he actually openly said he has to Google his own lyrics to make sure he doesn't write the same song twice. And I'm like, I bet you other bands do that too. Like Metallica and Megadeth, guys who've been in the game for a long time.
Yeah.
Especially bands that never quit. Like they never retired.
Well, a lot of people's favorite album by Metallica is Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
And there's no denying it. It's a legendary album in metal history. But also, it's Master of Puppets. The song itself is what makes that album such a noticeable eye catcher and such an icon. But unpopular opinion here, I don't think the whole album is as strong as the song Master of Puppets. I think that carries the rest of the album into its rating. Because my personal favorite Metallica album is Ride the Lightning.
I was going to ask, is it Ride the Lightning, since you have a poster of it in this room?
2 to be exact. But,
oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Anyway.
But, yeah, Ride the Lightning it's an absolute masterpiece in my opinion. From start to finish, there's not a bad track on that album, but it's just it's really intense on the way the music is written and the way they did the Egyptian feel with creeping death, and it's just, I can't even get into how deep it goes, but
we'll be here a while if you do.
but every song is unique in its own way, and I think Ride the Lightning is one of the greatest rock metal albums of all time, easy.
Now, we can't talk about metal and not talk about one of our, mutually favorite bands of all time. We quote them all the time, Demon Hunter.
Oh yeah.
That is by far one of my favorite. Demon Hunter is a Christian metal band / hard rock because they're back and forth depending on their mood, I guess, or depending on what God's telling them to do. But what I loved most about Demon Hunter is the fact that they turn scripture to song.
Oh yeah.
Like they it's like they took like the Bible verse and turned it into a song. That is always, I've always loved that.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. I've never thought about it like that, but that's pretty spot on. And besides that, I'd have to say the thing that sticks out to me the most about Demon Hunter is how versatile they are.
Yeah.
Because there's not many bands that can cross that threshold between rock and metal and do it to its finest degree on both ends of the spectrum like they can. Because
Yeah, no kidding.
because they've got, they can sing a ballad, a slow song that'll make you cry, and then turn right around and do a hardcore metal anthem, rip the roof off. It's like, there's not many artists that are that versatile, so that's why I like them as much as I do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think Demon Hunter is literally the only, just full-on metal band that has ever actually made me cry.
Yeah, what's the song Dead Flowers?
Mm-hmm. Dead Flowers. And that's also one of my personal favorites. I love Dead Flowers. It's a great song. I also love Heart of the Graveyard. Love that one. You and I,
Oh,
we collect that one all the time.
a lot of nostalgia there,
Oh, yeah.
but
And then, is it Peace?
yeah,
Is
I remember.
I love that one.
I remember you got emotional about the line, I can see the forest for the trees.
Yeah. And that's such a great line. And it's one of those, it's a thinker. Like, the more you think about it, the more emotional you get.
Yeah.
Because, I can see the forest before the trees. I can feel the wound before it bleeds. Talking about, how in the Bible it talks about, the Bible says that God knows us so well. He knows the amount of hairs that number our head.
Yeah.
Which means, like, whenever we feel pain, He's right there with us. He feels it. And probably even more intensely than we do.
Oh yeah.
Because, you think about, like, how much love He has for people and His children. He gave up His only child so that we could live free. I can't imagine what it would take to do that. It's unimaginable. And it was one of those, like, and a lot of people can sometimes get that misconstrued. He didn't willingly do that, but it was something that had to be done. The Bible says that when Jesus was crucified on that cross, God turned His back because He couldn't bear to witness His Son's death. And then the whole world shook because of God's anger.
Yeah, and think about what Jesus said to the people who were crucifying Him. He said about them, He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Who do you know that is that Christ-like, that could forgive that would want God to forgive the very people that are like killing you. I mean, that's deep.
Yeah, really. I mean, and I will say, if you're listening to this and you're not entirely sure about where you are spiritually and you want that reassurance, seek out your nearest pastor. Go seek out your church. Seek out your local church. Read the scripture, say a prayer. He's never that far away.
Yeah, and and don't let the hypocrisy in the churches drive you away either, because people are gonna fail you, but God's not, and that's what it boils down to. But I'll tell you another song that really speaks to me by Demon Hunter is their song from the album True Defiance called What Is Left on the deluxe version.
Yeah.
That song, he writes figuratively in his style of lyricism to portray the effect of sin when it's not dealt with properly. And that's one that's got me emotional before, but at the same time it stirs my soul and gets me pumped. And I'll just say this real quick. I better not get started talking about them too much, or I'll be here till this time tomorrow. But my favorite artist of all time is Project 86.
Yeah.
And their lead singer, Andrew Schwab, he's the best lyricist I've ever seen, because he writes lyrics in such a metaphorical fashion. And when you first hear it, you don't know what he's talking about. But the more you listen to it, the more it sinks in, and it's like, wow, how deep did he have to think to get this out on paper? And I've never heard another artist like Project 86, and they're the only hard rock artist I know that doesn't really have guitar solos, yet their stuff still, man, it rocks to its fullest extent and makes you want to blast it going through town, which I have. What do you think I do when I'm waiting on a train? No.
Well, this has been fun, man. I really liked this. So this is going to be a continual thing that we will be doing. So I hope you enjoyed. But we're going to sign off now. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Austin.
And we wish for all of you had a good night and have a good time. And we'll see you on the next one.
All right. Peace.